Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Today, our topic is aerobic exercise. Aerobics with none other than the doctor who coined that term, 94-year-old Dr. Kenneth Cooper, the father of aerobics, who just released his 20th book called Grow Healthier as You Grow Older. Dr. Cooper, it is such an honor to interview you today. It is just amazing the vast amount of work that you've done throughout your career, but if you wouldn't mind taking us back to 1968 when you produced your seminal work, and you started out actually as an ophthalmologist, but then changed specialties to preventive medicine. And didn't all this aerobics come out of a near-death experience?
That is true, and going even back farther, when I was in high school in Oklahoma City, my father, practicing dentist, never supported my athletic endeavors. Even though I won the state championship in the mile run in Oklahoma, almost set a new state record, it was all state in basketball, he never saw me participate in a running event or playing basketball because he was convinced, as was a popular feeling back in those days, if you exercise too much, you get an athletic heart. They felt that the heart would enlarge in size as people exercise too much. You stop exercise, converts into fat, and you die early. But to the contrary, back in those days, we thought that enlarged heart was because of a muscular heart. But it wasn't so much muscular as it was an enlargement of the heart itself because of the dilatation of the left ventricle. As a result of that, you can increase the ejection fraction, that's the amount of blood that can be pumped out with each heartbeat. And that's why the resting heart rate in endurance athletes goes from an average of 72 down into the 45s and 50s. It's an efficiency, something designed by the Lord for us to benefit from having a more efficient heart. And that's why these endurance athletes, myself, are living longer as I am now in my 95th year. My running weight was about 168 pounds. But I got into medical school and learned a very important point, that obesity is the most common manifestation of stress. Ate to keep awake at night, even worse during internship. And during that period of time, I increased from 168 to 204. And I was totally inactive until at 29 years of age, I went water skiing again for the first time up in Lake Texoma here in North Texas. And about halfway through that slalom course, I'd skied many times before, I got hit with chest pain, a racing heart. They got me over to the side. By the time I got over there, the pain had disappeared and the heart rate had come back to normal. The next day, I was evaluated thoroughly at the School of Aerospace Medicine in San Antonio. I was hypertense. I was pre-diabetic, overweight, inactive. A complete workup with these people said that the only thing wrong with you, doc, you're out of shape. But I lost the weight within 6 months. I ran the first marathon a year later. I ran for 40 years and 38,000 miles, and all those symptoms disappeared. I thought this was a field of medicine which has been sadly ignored, and that is the prevention of disease. I controlled the blood pressure. I controlled the diabetes by doing something but changing my lifestyle. And so that was the divine intervention of my life. Two major things I'm trying to do with this new book is, number one, is to motivate people to realize that your health, your longevity is what you do for yourself. It's not what's done for you by the government, by the insurance companies, even by your physicians as they're trained in preventive medicine. And no drug can replicate the benefits of an active lifestyle. So I'm trying to motivate people to change their lifestyle and live a long, active, and healthy life as I'm living. Secondly, I'm trying to motivate the medical profession to accept the subspecialty of preventive medicine. It still isn't accepted in the medicine today because we're average life expectancy, the 150,000 patients come to a clinic over the last 54 years are living 10 years longer than the national average. But the important thing, they're squaring off the curve. They're condensing the time of senility and senescence into a short period immediately prior to death. If I die tomorrow, I've had a wonderful life. I know where I'm going. I'd have no regrets. So that's one thing that we've been showing you. You can't ignore that. They're living longer. But then the final thing is to try to have a summary of the 54 years of research and over 700 articles we published in peer-reviewed journals. We bridge the gap between faddism and scientific legitimacy, exercise and practice medicine, and the results are too impressive to be ignored. Those are major epiphanies that God has had his hand on my life. And I praise the Lord every day, give him credit for everything I've achieved.
So when you coined the term aerobics and started getting people to stop being afraid of exercising hard, it's so hard to believe that your father was against it. People thought it would ruin your heart to exercise hard, and you proved quite the opposite. Did you have any idea the phenomenon, the change in this culture that you were behind back then?
No, I had no idea for sure, because the book came out in 1968. I was the target of criticism. Streets going to be full of dead joggers. People try to follow Cooper. Cooper's going to kill more than Hitler did in World War II. It was really vicious. I had to go before the Board of Censors here in Dallas, and I almost went back to the Air Force. It was so tough. But I stuck with it, and now we have a 30-acre campus here. We have 550 employees with 31 full-time positions and a worldwide impact. We have several documentaries that we prepared. First two are for physicians and for medical schools. The last two are for the general public, entitled "The Power of Preventive Medicine and the World Impact of Aerobics." A woman came down from CNN and interviewed me, not to video, but to interview me. You can still go to CNN homepage and download Cooper and Exercise and see that interview. It's now been downloaded by 729,600,000 people around the world. I'm getting texts from around the world. So what started as an idea and a concept, revealed in the first book of aerobics, 1968, is now gone worldwide.
It's absolutely fascinating. All right, we're going to take a break and be right back with Dr. Kenneth Cooper, the father of aerobics and the author of the new book, Grow Healthier as You Grow Older. Stay with us. Welcome back to Healthy Living. We are talking with the father of aerobics, 94-year-old Dr. Kenneth Cooper, who just wrote the book, Grow Healthier as You Grow Older. Your 20th book, Dr. Cooper. It is an honor to speak with you. And, you know, you worked with NASA scientists. You worked with Olympic athletes, presidents. Talk to us about some of your high-powered clients and how you helped them.
Well, we have had a variety of amazing people have come to the clinic and come back on a regular basis. In fact, we have up to a 3-month waiting list people trying to come to our clinic at a 74% return basis. So we return patients. Frank Shorter, the Olympic marathoner, very good friend of mine. And he brought a group of people, you'll see in the book, of 20 world-class athletes, including the late Steve Prefontaine, for example. And we tried to find out, are these athletes, these Olympic athletes, born or made? We had 4 people investigating this study back in 1975, before the Olympics, 1976. And we did such things as muscle biopsies to determine if an athlete is an athlete because of just the way they were born. You can look at their muscle mass. Do they have slow twitch or fast twitch fibers? Had to take a section of muscle from their leg. And we found that these athletes, the majority, 80%, had slow twitch fibers. That's typical of a long distance runner. Fast twitch fibers are for sprinters. But there's one guy in the group, and he had twice the size of anybody else's muscle mass, but he had only 45 to 50% number, but they were larger than the others. And his name was Don Cardall, and he placed 4th Olympic marathon, 1976. So in general, athletes are born, not made. But if you have a desire, you can still overcome what you weren't born with, become a world-class athlete, as Don Cardall did. And then worked in the Brazilian World Cup soccer team. I had the privilege of working with them, helped them win the World Cup in 1972 in Mexico City. And I became an icon in Brazil. We know what they call jogging in Brazil. I've been there 21 times. They call it doing the Cooper. So the Lord has blessed me with the opportunity to speak at the Billy Graham Crusade, October the 6th, 1974, to 225,000 people at the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. At that time, the largest attendance ever in the Western Hemisphere for religious meeting. I had the chance to give a testimony before that live group on the interrelationship between spiritual and physical fitness, quoting 1 Timothy 4:8, because physical fitness is all right, but spiritual fitness is what you need to prepare for life and this after too. So extremely important. I use Bible verses in my presentations all the time. One of my favorite ones is Isaiah 40:31, that those who wait upon the Lord can renew their strength. They can mount wings and soar like eagles, and they can run and not be weary and walk and not faint. Those are verses I use all the time in my presentation, because I'm here today because of divine intervention in my life. And you'll find in reading this book, there's that theme throughout that, divine intervention. So I've been blessed with so many things, from good health, from a wonderful family. I have I have a son and a daughter. We have 5 grandkids, and my wife just last night celebrated her 90th birthday.
That's wonderful. And it's very inspirational to see someone who has been so richly blessed by God to use the talents, your God-given talents, to serve the Lord. And I just wanted to commend you for that and tell you that it is quite inspirational. You actually helped develop the treadmill stress test that's still in use today as a diagnostic tool to detect early signs of coronary heart disease. How difficult was that?
That was difficult. It actually, my colleague, Dr. Bill Thornton, and I were working for NASA at that time to try to develop a technology. We could even read an EKG on exercising subject. That was not available in the 1960s. So we had developed that technology for NASA because they needed to be able to monitor the EKG when these people are extravehicular. They'd be going into an arrhythmia, something of that type. Wouldn't know about that. So we did that. But as soon as I came to Dallas and started doing treadmill stress testing with clinics, I was immediately jumped on by the medical society. You're going to kill people. You can't exercise people to exhaustion. I said, I've been doing this for all these 10 years. It can be a very valuable tool because remember, the most common first symptom of severe heart disease is sudden death. People don't realize that. We've done over 300,000 stress tests now. 16.1% have been abnormal equivocal. And only 5% knew they had a problem. So 11% of the people coming through this clinic, we pick up coronary disease, and almost daily we have some people coming in thinking they're perfectly healthy, end up in the hospital for bypass or angioplasty and a stent. That happens frequently here because people don't realize they have severe underlying medical problems. Our goal here is twofold with the clinic patients we see every day. One is prevent cancer and heart disease. We've proven that can be done. And number 2, if we can't prevent it, diagnose it early. Been able to achieve with one of our studies, following a group of 18,000 people that came to the clinic, average age 50, and got their Medicare data from 65 to 75 years of age. And the only variable we looked at was their level of activity measured by the treadmill time. Very poor, poor, fair, good exercise period. We compare the top category of fitness with the bottom category of fitness, 21% women. We found for 25 years and found the top category had 36% less Alzheimer's dementia than the bottom category. They had 40% reduction in chronic kidney disease than the bottom category did. And they had 25% reduction in all types of cancer and 25% reduction in congestive heart failure. And the big thing was the cost of Medicare from 65 to 75 years of age was 40% less in the top category than the bottom category. So we've been able to show and prove this in peer-reviewed journal articles that you can prevent disease. A lot cheaper, more effective to prevent disease than find a cure, and you can reduce the cost of healthcare. Why can't America awaken to these possibilities, prolong life, quality of life, reduce the cost of therapy? Because we got the answers in the book.
Fascinating. And we are so grateful once again for all the advances that you are responsible for, Doctor. All right, we're going to take another break and be right back with Dr. Kenneth Cooper. The book is called Grow Healthier as You Grow Older. Stay with us. Welcome back to Healthy Living. We are speaking with Dr. Kenneth Cooper. The book is called Grow Healthier as You Grow Older. And Dr. Cooper, not only did you have your hand in so many of our revolutionary exercise foundational techniques, but also nutrition. We know that you are responsible for helping to remove all those awful trans fats from our food. And I just wanted to get your take on nutrition. We see today that the Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., said more people should eat more dairy. Is dairy something that we should really be consuming a lot of? It seems kind of controversial.
Well, my recommendation and what the 8 things we have for getting Cooperized are very important. That's why people have been successful, is to have a proper diet. But I try to summarize by saying 5 is fine, 9 is divine. Number of servings and fruits and vegetables we should have on a daily basis. Average American adult, 3.1. Average American teenager, only 1.6. There's a major deficiency there of just the quantity of food our people eat. That's very simple to change that. The other thing I strongly recommend is vitamin D supplementation. We've found in our research here that COVID virus is damaged by the body's hyperimmune system that goes to the lungs and causes pneumonia, and they die of it. But that can be suppressed by high levels of vitamin D. Average American, let's have some exposure to vitamin D level of less than 20. And there's a high-fold increased risk of being hospitalized and death from COVID-19. I keep my vitamin D level about 65 to 70. I take 7,000 units a day. So I've been protected. I'm encouraging my people to do that. And we found a sharp reduction in the people that are hospitalized and the people that die from COVID-19 if they get the vitamin D levels. Those are two important things. Actually, it's a part of the 7, 8 different things we recommend for being Cooperized. Proper weight is very important, too. You can't be healthy and be obese. That's all there is to it. There's too many problems associated with obesity. At the top of the list there, you have heart disease, you have strokes, and you have diabetes. So get your ideal weight. That can be done by going to the computer and getting your body mass index. But that takes your height and weight. But taking consideration, too, measure the circumference of your waist, because that's where you find the visceral fat, the fats associated with disease. You can go to the internet and type in your body roundness index, and you can see if you've got any major problem with fat. Body mass index, body roundness index, a strong recommendation we're making in the book, because find out if you're suffering from obesity, particularly bad type of obesity. On down the list, we have elimination of cigarette smoking. There's no way you can be healthy and smoke tobacco in any form. Control of alcohol. We now know that any type of alcohol can increase the risk of cancer. Cancer of the throat, cancer of the esophagus, the vocal cords, cancer of the colon, and cancer of the breast. They estimate that 30,000 women every year because of using alcohol, they die of breast cancer. On down the list, stress management. It's not stress that kills, it's the way you handle stress that kills. If I didn't exercise at the end of my day, as I do 5 days a week, and I do my 30 minutes, collective or sustained, I recommend daily. I'll do it now on a recumbent bike because I broke my leg smoking years ago. But you don't give up exercise. Exercise is a journey, not a destination. You can't rely on what you've done in the past. It's what you've done yesterday counts. Those are all things that I encourage people to read the book and follow the recommendations, all things on basically get Cooperized. If we could do that, we could change the world, the way medicine is practiced in the future. But the one thing that you know about from the book, and it's written in great detail, is elimination of trans fats in the diet. Now, Steve Reinemund at the time was the CEO of PepsiCo. They owned Frito-Lay. And he's a good friend. He came to me. I know that our problem with the obesity problem we have in children, which is epidemic, they were fueling that with our products, particularly Frito-Lay. I want to take out the saturated fats. I said, you don't need to take out the saturated fats completely because you need some mild saturated fats to increase the HDL and good cholesterol. But what you need to do is eliminate the trans fats. Trans fats were developed years ago because they were inexpensive. They didn't change the taste. They had a long prolonged shelf life, ideal from the consumer and from the manufacturing company, but they elevated the LDL or bad cholesterol and lowered the HDL cholesterol. Get rid of the trans fats. They did that, $13 million to retool and Frito-Lay to do that. That went worldwide. WHO reported recently by eliminating trans fats from the diet around the world, we're saving about 16.9 million people a year because of elimination of trans fats. That's also a thing I'm very proud of. The elimination of trans fats, the American diet that's now gone worldwide.
Yes, those trans fats, they are awful. I'm so glad that they're mostly gone. All right, we're going to take one final break and be right back with Dr. Kenneth Cooper, the father of aerobics, who just wrote his 20th book, Grow Healthier as You Grow Older. Stay with us. Welcome back to Healthy Living. We are continuing our discussion with Dr. Kenneth Cooper, the father of aerobics and the author of Grow Healthier as You Grow Older. You are 94 years young and such an inspiration, Doctor. Unfortunately, we're just about out of time. How can our viewers find out more about you?
They can go to our website, cooperobics.com, or you can go to Google or any of the search engines or Wikipedia, and I have a lengthy information about my life, my experiences there. But go to the book, because the book is not only how to do it, but it's also an autobiography of my life. You'll find it interesting how the Lord has had his hand on my life, and that's the reason I'm here today, when 95% of my medical school class of 1956 have already died.
How many hours a day are you still working? I know you exercise still.
I still work, used to work 60 hours a week, now it's only 40 hours a week, but I end the day with my 30 minutes on a bicycle or a recumbent bike. And I've done that because I told you I ran for 40 years and 38,000 miles, the Boston Marathon twice, that kind of stuff. But I broke my leg back in 2004. So I had to stop running and jogging. But I didn't stop exercising because I keep saying it's a journey, not a destination. You transition. You can't store fitness. That's a very important thing. And finally, I would say that people got to take into consideration that your health, your longevity, is an example of that. It's dependent on what you do for yourself. The government's not going to do it for you. The insurance company can do it for you. It's what you do for yourself, because no drug can replicate the benefits as an active lifestyle. And that's my hope and prayer for all the people that watch this video.
Mine as well. All right, Dr. Cooper, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson, and we'll see you again next week.